Pandarosh presents Laluba by Nahid Al-Sayed, Part 3.
In Love of Wolves. Researchers have long been intrigued by the strength of a she-wolf's bones and their difficulty to break, until they discovered that the powder of her bones heals liver patients, the organ she first attacks in the body with all its freshness and warmth. These were not mere myths, as the Greek physician Galen, the personal doctor of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius in 145 AD, considered them. He dedicated some of his over 300 books to inventing medicines that deter various diseases using only parts of wolves. The emperor allowed him these experiments despite their reverence for strong animals, especially wolves, aiming to heal the sick. His medicines became known as pastes because he mixed body parts with honey, herbs and plants. His experiments proved that wolf bile cures infertility and improves sexual performance. Its fat heals alopecia and removes vitiligo. Special pastes from its eye cure epilepsy, and grinding its tailbones treats the spine. Galen found many marvels in the wolf's body, distributing disease into 4 fluids: blood, yellow bile, phlegm, and black bile. This concept later became the basis for tests to discover chronic diseases. I believe that if they revisited Galen's works, experiments, and pastes, they could halt the spread of strange diseases. The ancients did not let the wolf pass as a mere icon of strength depicted on the walls of their history. In Native American folklore, the witch Hindla and the giantess Hyrrokin are depicted riding wolves. There are images of a she-wolf nursing puppies, symbolizing giving, and thus wolves entered the encyclopedia of mythologies and cosmology, symbolizing the warrior and, on the other hand, representing the devil. They became associated with witchcraft in Northern European cultures. In Navajo culture, they feared wolves as witches in wolf form, and the Chilcotin people believed that contact with wolves caused madness and death. From this perspective, Indians and later Africans began campaigns to attack jinn, using parts of the wolf's body as a jinn repellent. They used its fangs as an amulet for protection from jinn, its tail to bring fortune, and its eye to break spells and cure epilepsy. The wolf's fang is the most expensive in the world of gemstones, considered an amulet for protection from jinn and the evil eye, attracting a lover and overcoming an opponent. On the other hand, wolves refuse to have their skin made into clothes, seats, or drums. It quickly cracks, melts, and spreads its melting contagion to nearby skins or bedding, as if cursing its surroundings, declaring that their skins should not be used for amusement or entertainment. However, for amulets, charms, protection, and healing, they accept the grinding of their bones, tails, eyes, and fangs as a sacrifice for humans. What a magnificent creature. I am proud to belong to it. Aren't you happy like me, dear Dohal reader? Yes, Dohal is the name of a strong male wolf, and you are strong enough to have endured my chatter. This culture of witchcraft has been passed down to Arab culture, emphasizing the special status of the wolf in the Quran and the legends that say it will be the last creature on earth on Judgment Day, clinging to the ground with its claws, while the winds uproot everything around it, then turning to it and flaying its skin. This legend indicates its strength and that God chose it above all creatures, making it the strongest. Due to the wolf's great significance, it took its place in the most brutal periods worldwide. The Nazi propaganda used it in their election campaigns, inspired by their leader Adolf Hitler, who loved wolves so much that his headquarters in World War II was called the Wolf's Lair. He kept wild dogs, German shepherds, the closest breed to wolves. Joseph Goebbels used the image of a wild wolf as his emblem before taking office in 1928, before becoming Minister of Propaganda, threatening politicians in his campaign by saying, "Like a wolf tearing a flock of sheep, so we come." In the Natural World Record, Peter Kahn wrote, in 1748, before the American War of Independence, when smallpox reached a devastating level, that wolves, with their insight, strong intuition, and sense of smell, knew there was an easy meal, so they invaded the East Coast and devoured the bodies of the sick and incapacitated. An entity whose transparency cannot be tolerated. My happiness is doubled, once because I returned to life after the coma of death, and again because I became a new entity, not belonging to humans, wolves, or even angels. I am not a flying insect nor a reptile, nor as I always wished to be in my other world, a silkworm weaving silk to clothe the naked hearts. I became an entity whose lightness cannot be tolerated, as the renowned writer Milan Kundera described his naive girl, an entity whose delicacy, generosity, and clarity cannot be tolerated. I returned to stand in between. No, I do not mean the grey area, God forbid, but I mean the gelatinous, collagenous matter, that soft thing recommended for bone patients to easily penetrate them, nourish the cartilage, and strengthen the bones of the elderly and those suffering from bone pain and rheumatoid arthritis. It is the same gelatin that gives young girls a fresh face and protects them from skin diseases. It is also the companion of patients in the sterile hospital rooms after any surgery, recommended to moisten the intestines, clean them, and prepare them to receive other foods shortly. It is the companion of ice cream, providing refreshment and energy on those moonlit nights with friends and lovers in the streets and cafes, and also classified as a dessert. In truth, it is colorless, but they impose different colors and flavors on it for variety. But it is known for its transparency so much that you can see what the person sitting opposite you is gazing at. I truly love what I have become, and I am very happy with this new entity that does not require a specific form. And those tasks suddenly entrusted to me, I accept them with pleasure. I can almost swear that if I had spent my whole life praying to God to change my condition and guide me in this way, this life would never have crossed my mind. It is far from my imagination. I became this way, nothing more. I do not want to think about how circumstances led me to this situation, but I see it as you're right, dear reader. The bookmark. When I curled up around my illness and became like a bundle of dirty clothes rolling on the ground, unable to catch its breath from the intensity of the rolling, I clung to anything in my path that my hand, or more precisely, my fingers, could grasp, which peeked out from that bundle surreptitiously. The first thing they grasped was, of course, my family, with all their titles that form the foundation of family and kinship. From the brother, a title that parallels pain, as if it were synonymous with intimacy during agony, and leaning on in moments of weakness, to the more distant relatives. I clung to them one by one, each according to their closeness to my heart, and the years of companionship between us. What a disappointment. I found them all busy, with no readiness to give up what occupied them, even for a brief period, for my sake. What? I didn't expect that. What a disappointment. I was rushing with all my might, and never doubted for a moment that I would become a nobody to them one day, and that the sum of my affection, our companionship, and our so-called love would amount to zero, a big empty zero. Nothing more. Wait, please. Where are you going after all my rambling? Don't place the bookmark here now. This part is the most important in the book, and whatever you're doing must wait. Where are you going? Making a cup of coffee to improve your mood. I don't recommend that now. Believe me, your mood hasn't soured yet, and you'll witness that yourself. Is someone calling you? Here's a tip. Don't answer anyone's call, just listen to yourself. Be narcissistic enough to live a dignified life. Or are you placing the bookmark to adjust your sitting position? Even if that's the case, and whatever your position, you'll twist in it soon. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm preparing you that you won't find sweet words in this part. All the bitterness of my days has just come out. And what is that in your hand that you're using as a bookmark to separate the layers of my continuous narrative? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Interrupting me even for a moment with this trivial scrap, and I'm writing to you to know my story, to draw from my knowledge and experiences, and you insert this scrap between the ribs of my pages. How cruel you are too. I thought I had gotten rid of the neglectful people around me, those who ignore feelings, the indifferent, the masters of coincidences and randomness, only for my dear reader, my last refuge, to come, the one I write for, to interrupt me with that scrap. Do you mean to bring me more sorrow? Did you intend to show me what was written on your scrap? Is this a coincidence or a deliberate plan? Wasn't that the list of requests your wife slipped into your pocket to bring after you received your monthly salary? Half the month has passed, and you've kept it until it wore out. It turned into a bookmark from waiting so long on the table next to your comfortable chair in a carefully lit corner for relaxation. Why are you involving me in your personal problems now? Did you intend to tell me your own pain too, and show me your distress? With all the sarcasm in the world, you don't know what distress is. Were you born into a poor family like mine, where you all slept in one room? Did your paternal grandmother raise you, and you only saw your mother and father on Sunday evenings? And your allowance, which did not exceed 5 piastres, went into your harsh grandmother's pocket. And your older brother had to steal it from her at night to right the wrong done to his siblings and distribute it to them in the morning. And we approved of that theft and legitimized it for him and kept silent. Did you have to run away from school to work errands, going back and forth on foot to fetch groceries and cleaning supplies for the neighbors when you were 8 years old, earning a few coins to get an extra meal besides the one meal you had with your family each day? Did you tire your stomach from hunger so you wouldn't have to ask anyone for help? And did you plan to visit a relative in the morning after hunger had taken its toll on you, pretending you were nearby and came to say hello, choosing the early morning hours when they were having tea with milk and biscuits so you could get some without embarrassment? Have you had enough? Did you ever have to work as a laundry boy? Girl, delivering clothes that had been ironed to customers with a smile worthy of earning me a decent tip because I didn't get paid by the laundryman? Then I worked cleaning a pharmacy until the owner harassed me, and I fled, dragging my body behind me with all the sorrow of being a female, giving up my daily wage, saddened by my feminine appearance that deprived me of finding a decent, rewarding job. I also drowned in the waste of children in a nursery, changing their diapers, cleaning them, and playing with them when I was 10 years old. Misery followed me as I grew up and worked as a teacher in a village. not having finished my studies yet, chasing after £94, a cabbage and 4 eggs. And the £94 would be lost in the transportation costs for the new month, forcing me to give private lessons in Arabic, increasing my wage to a pie, a piece of cheese, and some honey. When I got £100 pure and unblemished by transportation costs, rent, or necessities, I started writing down my dreams, like your poor wife now, thinking that £100 would change the world around me, and that it was the beginning of dignity and honor. I wrote on a scrap of paper what I wanted, important, necessary, and urgent for that month, hoping to earn the same amount next month. A bathroom slipper, half a chicken, 1/8 kilogram of Turkish cheese, and a kilo of bananas. Please hide this scrap. Replace it with a clean white paper that gives us both hope for a new beginning in life, to align with what I narrate to you about the beautiful new life. And a piece of advice: don't keep anything that harms you about your distress to yourself. Tell your wife what you're going through, and don't delay relief for her, making her wait until next month while you don't yet know where your salary goes. You're not as foresighted as I am to save any amount from your monthly earnings, no matter your distress, just because you're afraid of the near future. I used to starve myself to fulfill the hopes of those around me. I would cut from my food to make myself happy by giving to others. Giving was my favorite food. At first, I was proud of the words of thanks and the good qualities they attributed to me. But later, when things became clear to me, I began to enjoy giving in secret, and happiness became more expansive than before. I'm not suggesting you bluntly confess your crisis. Just choose gentle words, free of despair and devoid of pity, and make sure they are filled with hope. Be confident that you will have what you need after you read my book carefully and set aside your worn-out scrap. Tuck it into your wallet. Be confident that there will come a time when you look at it laughing, considering it just a memory of hard days. Perhaps as soon as you finish reading my book, or shortly after. I hope so. And you may call me a charlatan or possessed. But wait, don't pass judgment until you finish reading, and you will see for yourself. Foresight is the 6th wisdom I possess, which attracted the she-wolf to dwell within me, because it is simply one of their traits that sets them apart from any other pack. They have the ability to anticipate the prey's next steps and what they indicate, whether it is confused and disoriented. So you find the circle of wolves set around it only advances with a known and calculated step after finishing their foresight and then giving the signal to start. They know when the prey is thinking of the enemy and pounce on it, because they simply don't attack the prey when it is stiff in front of them. Where's the thrill in that? All hunting expeditions rely on clairvoyance first, then the sense of smell, as researcher Kohler demonstrated in his study on the law of clairvoyance, saying, "Clairvoyance is a kind of legitimate spiritual espionage. As for the sense of smell, wolves possess 200 million cells, allowing their noses to reach more than 10 kilometers. I recently acquired this ability as well, as my senses began to interchange. It grants me a strong sense of smell while weakening my vision, gives me psychological calm, and takes my emotions so I can enjoy a bit of numbness and rest from tension, my usual daily food. Throughout my life, I have followed a clairvoyant plan, or as I initially called it, the logic of consult your heart, which always guides me towards good people and repels me from devils or those with sick souls. My insight became sharper when it united with my wolf's insight, and we became twins, Luca and Luba. She points and nudges me when she senses the danger of new company. Of course, after we together committed a massacre of slaughtering the bad ones around us. My bed rest was enough to sharpen my insight, making it keen and swift to detect those approaching me, whether they were duty-bound shepherds, envious, curious, or those with 100 faces. I throw them at Luca's feet, and together we slaughter their presence from my life, with a cold heart devoid of mercy. Luca refrains from sucking their blood, which is contaminated and clotted with envy, malice, and all the bad traits some humans possess. But in reality, they stand on the threshold of devils, or they are the children of the devil himself. Among them were family, relatives, acquaintances, and neighbors. They robbed me of my peace and my attention to them, stole my affection, compassion, and generosity. It became clear to me that their lives were false, their smiles deceitful, their visits mere curiosity, duty, and perhaps gloating. Yes, they gloated over my illness and wished me harm. I saw it with my insight, but I let them go in peace. I just avoided them and closed my life to myself. No one enters it unless they are pure towards me at least. I won't hide it from you. That step was the beginning of my recovery, standing up again and standing on my feet. I purified myself from negative energies that were clinging to me, pulling me towards them and slowly slaughtering my peace. They drained and consumed all my love. They were the reason for the imbalance of love and giving hormones. So my balance was disturbed, and here the wolf inside me danced. She dances when she is confused and loses balance, contrary to what everyone thinks, and uses her dance as an example. She truly seems more joyful in her dance. She spins and scratches the ground with her paws and nose, and keeps dancing and standing on her hind legs, becoming more joyful whenever she sees cold eyes around me, hearts hiding malice, gloating and envy, faces without features resembling their juice bags, and flowers wrapped in the scent of duty. She keeps dancing and dancing until she loses connection with her body. What a wonderful dance it is that appears to the onlookers as a flood of happiness. While she dances out of shame and disappointment, she dances as a result of losing balance, announcing confusion and wandering. Her dance stirred my emotions, intensifying the pricks and spasms and feelings of confusion and wandering. She stumbles and digs, and her paws embed in my organs, and I endure it because her dance was for me. For my sake, it was sorrow for my miserable life. It was my salvation, a light that illuminated the falsehood around me, a salvation for which I paid a high price. She had to prepare me for my new life. I was skinned. Yes, don't be surprised. She skinned me like a rabbit. At first, my skin cracked, like parched earth on the verge of ruin. I suffered greatly from its stings and pricks. Then it began to fall off like ashes in a wildfire. I would kiss the nurse's hands and bribe them to allow me to bathe and wash, but nothing helped to moisturize it. The peeling reached a painful stage. I didn't dare touch it with my hands, I just cried. Thank God that the skin on my face was only affected by the redness of my cheeks, so that the viewer would see me as beautiful and radiant, with blood flowing through my veins, not believing what I was going through. Meanwhile, it continued its cunning beneath my clothes and behind my skin. I've been made an example to those around me, an image of a disease they had never heard of before. Everyone around me began to enter the grace of God one by one, to gain some of His favor while serving me and meeting my needs. Even my daughters would avert their eyes from the disfigurement of my body and take the initiative to bathe me themselves, shedding silent tears. After a short period, they couldn't bear the progression of the peeling and left the task to their father, whom God had destined to cleanse himself with my pain. He began reading about the types of oils and their benefits, which ones were suitable for moisturizing, and which ones soothed the pain. I was ashamed of how I slept in front of him, like a corpse being rid of worms. I would close my eyes so as not to see the beloved humiliated by his lover out of necessity. But I found him touching me with tenderness and affection, as if caressing the girl he intended to marry. His gentle touches restored my sparkle and strength, pulling me towards a new hope to cling to. You are still desirable, Nahed. Your husband still sees beauty and femininity in you. Your body is still worth fighting for. But unfortunately, the lupus had not completed its plan to prepare me for a new life. It had not finished peeling my skin and pulling my hair and eyelashes from my head before it entered my lungs and vomited everything it had eaten into them. They became infected with its fungi. Then it hid behind the pleural membrane to conceal its crime. They began draining the water from my lungs while my eyes bulged, without even partial anesthesia. My heart couldn't handle anesthesia, they said, because one day it had settled in it, curled up in sadness from my repeated disappointments from my loved ones, and began to weep and swell until it nearly burst. A panic attack seeped into my husband, leaving him confused and scattered, not knowing how our lives had changed so quickly. How had hospitals become our home, and nurses our closest companions? He searched for familiar faces in this exhausting alienation and overwhelming darkness, finding only human ghosts, people whose tongues were glued to phone headsets, with no tearful eyes to console him, no hearts to pat his. Everyone melted away, evaporated. He remained agitated for long periods, angry, not wanting to see me, avoiding feelings of regret and blame, not knowing whom to direct them at. What we were going through was not in anyone's hands. It was God, the fate that had given us a truce in the war with life to grow us anew. It all came as a strong blow to the head, starting with a simple incident one day in Ramadan, where the car I was riding in hit a bump while my stiff leg was extended. Before we could blink, it escalated to a motionless sleep. A vertebra had moved from the spine to the spinal cord, threatening total paralysis. My spine was fixed with cement screws and metal plates, making me unable to turn like wolves. It was giving me some of its means to adapt to life, even passing on its only weakness to me, having a straight spine that prevents it from turning. That's why hunters advised their young trainees to move in a circular pattern if attacked by wolves, to make them dizzy. The wound on my back had not healed, and I had not yet gotten used to its hardness when the shocks kept coming. I felt that my Lord was placing them before me to rid me of them all at once, but at the time, I did not receive them with such calm and grace. They added to my pain, shocks that insulted my peace and being, and betrayals that no human could bear. Luca helped me to rid myself of these lies and deceptions. I surprised her by pulling myself from her firm grip on my neck. She was my inspiration for choosing the righteous and living with them. She even rewarded me by attracting good people I could rely on, pushing them into my path to become my new family, so I wouldn't be without kin. After that, she taught me how to attract beauty and virtue, to attract those who resemble me, appreciate my life, and respect my seclusion. Her attack was justified then, strong and fierce as if she were coming from a famine that had started some time ago due to falling snow, or she seemed as if she were rabid or suffering from horse fever. These diseases are what caused the wolf to lose its balance and wisdom, making it spin, twirl, dance, and prance like women hungry for a hug, for tenderness, for a soul. Every 40 days, I prepare my bag to leave. I don't know how many times death has missed me. 3, 4, or 20 times. It devoured everyone around me who was sick, then cleaned its teeth with silk threads afterward. Why does it miss me then, if it isn't failing to aim? Each time, I get ready and place a star in the middle of my forehead, standing in front of it with my eyes closed to receive my blow without seeing the horror of its arrow's strike. My stance prolongs, and I open my eyes to find the arrow has hit someone else. Someone who wasn't sick, perhaps a young person in the prime of life, an old grandmother, an employee returning from work burdened by the worries of the world, or a cleaning worker grieving over the fate of her children. Sometimes it hits a bedridden patient. Is that its condition? What about me when I was living under machines without movement? Why did it miss me? Are all these people more deserving of your arrows than I am? Is it because I wait for you and choose you, while they don't choose you and run away from you? Is that how it works, I wonder? Why do you pass me by every time, promising and fixing me in the place of your aim? And when I open my eyes, I see you with your head bowed, ashamed of your failure to aim, and you turn back to where you came from, leaving me quietly, throwing me another waiting message, swearing that you will train well and hit me this time, promising to arrive at the appointed time after 40 days. The known period for preparation and silent farewells to family and friends. I spend it fully to finish my tasks of love and giving, paying my dues of mercy and charity, filling my children's piggy banks with advice and instructions about taking care of their health first, as it brings money, not the other way around. I write them what I can of life's advice and my experiences, burn all our stock of tissues, and teach them not to cry. For death is a reality like life. I advise them not to wear black clothes, as I love white, orange and blue. I erase my many details from the house and their ears, break the leg of the chair I always sit on, so they don't see my ghost in it. Replace my scent in the bedroom with the smell of incense. I am harsh on them, get angry and upset, so the beauty of our hugs fades, leaving the last thing they remember as the sound of harshness. So they pity my confused mind, confirming that death was more merciful to me than a disease invading my mind and nerves. This is how I spend the 40 days preceding the moment of death. 40 days in complete silence. I must not reveal our secret. Bid them farewell without sorrow. Prepare my departure bag. What do I need there? In the big pocket, I put our photos and moments of laughter and joy. Birthday cards with wobbly lines crawling towards small fingers that make spelling mistakes. Their gifts, their touches, their innocence as they sleep, assured that their mother is still breathing for another day. My cup, the first collective gift they bought with their allowance. The smell of life that I wake up to every morning, feeling it with passion as it tickles my nose. Why should I ignore it? Why should I be ashamed that I'm still alive? Why do I wait for the one who does not come? He only comes to those who ignore him. As for me, I do not fear him. I wait for him and see the inevitability of his presence with me in every moment of pain I go through. Perhaps he is skilled in reading intentions and knows that I do not currently desire death, no matter how much pain tempts me. I still see that life is beautiful and worth living.
See you in the next part of Laluba, translated by Dr. Tamer Lokman. Editing and art direction, Mariam Hani. Sound engineering, Tamer Yahya. Artistic supervision, Ali Saeed. International distribution, Sandos Tamer. General supervision, Wael Atta. Production manager, Rasha Yahya. Direction, Khalid Mahgoub. Best regards with Pandarosh.